The plan was risky, but it was the only option they had. Maya, Daniel, and Alex spent hours fine-tuning every detail, knowing that one wrong move could put them all in danger. The goal was simple: lure whoever was threatening Maya into a trap, expose their true intentions, and ensure the translator remained safe. But executing the plan would require careful timing, teamwork, and nerves of steel. Alex took charge of creating the decoy translator. Using his expertise, he built a replica that looked identical to the original but contained none of its advanced capabilities. Inside the device, he embedded a tracking chip so they could monitor its location in real time. "If they take the bait," Alex explained, "we'll know exactly where they go." Daniel focused on gathering information about potential suspects. He reached out to former colleagues, industry insiders, and even competitors, asking discreet questions about companies known for unethical practices. It didn't take long for him to identify a likely culprit: Nexus Corp, a massive multinational tech company notorious for poaching innovations from smaller startups. Their CEO, Richard Grant, had a reputation for ruthlessness, stopping at nothing. To secure cutting-edge technology for profit, Maya's role was the most challenging. She had to act as bait, pretending to comply with the anonymous threats while secretly working with Daniel and Alex to turn the tables. It was a dangerous game, but she knew it was necessary. "I can do this," she told herself repeatedly, though fear gnawed at her constantly. A few days later, Maya received another email from the mysterious sender. This time, the message was more direct: "Deliver the translator to the parking garage on Monroe Street. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Come alone." Maya forwarded the email to Daniel and Alex immediately. They huddled together in her apartment, discussing how to proceed. "This is it," Daniel said. "We need to make sure you're protected." "I'll wirelessly activate the tracker as soon as they take the decoy," Alex added. "Once we have their location, we'll follow them and gather evidence." "And what if something goes wrong?" Maya asked, her voice trembling slightly. "We'll be close by," Daniel assured her. "You won't be alone, I promise." Despite his reassurance, Maya couldn't shake the knot of anxiety in her stomach. She spent the rest of the day preparing, mentally rehearsing what she would say and reminding herself why she was doing this. By evening, she felt as ready as she'd ever be. At precisely 7:45 p.m., Maya arrived at the parking garage on Monroe Street. Her hands were clammy as she gripped the decoy translator in one hand and her phone in the other. The underground lot was dimly lit, shadows stretching across empty rows of concrete pillars. She parked her car near the entrance and stepped out. Scanning the area nervously, as instructed, she walked toward the center of the garage, where a single figure emerged from the darkness. He was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a black hoodie that obscured his face. Maya stopped a few feet away, her heart pounding. "I'm here," she said, forcing her voice to remain steady. "Where's the translator?" The man held out his hand silently, gesturing for her to hand over the device. Maya hesitated for a split second before placing the decoy in his palm. As soon as he took it, she turned and walked briskly back to her car, resisting the urge to look over her shoulder. Back inside her vehicle, she activated the tracking app Alex had installed on her phone. A blinking dot appeared on the screen, moving steadily away from the garage. "They've got it," she whispered into her phone, keeping her voice low. "Heading east." "Got it," Alex replied. "We're tracking them now. Stay safe and get out of there." Maya didn't need to be told twice. She started her car and drove home as quickly as possible, her mind racing with possibilities. Who were these people? What would they do when they realized the translator was fake? And, most importantly, how far would they go to get the real thing? Meanwhile, Daniel and Alex followed the signal from a safe distance, trailing the black sedan carrying the decoy translator. The vehicle eventually pulled into a sleek high-rise office building downtown, the headquarters of Nexus Corp. "Bingo," Alex muttered under his breath. Looks like we found our culprits. They parked a block away and watched as the man disappeared inside the building. Daniel snapped photos of the entrance and license plate, documenting everything for future reference. We need proof, he said. Something undeniable that ties Nexus Corp to this. Alex nodded, already tapping furiously on his laptop. Leave. That to me. I'll hack into their system remotely and see what I can find. For the next hour, they waited anxiously as Alex worked his magic. Finally, he let out a triumphant exclamation. Got it! They've been running covert ops to steal intellectual property from startups for years. There's an entire file detailing their plans to acquire advanced AI technology, including ours. That's more than enough, Daniel said, relief washing over him. Now we just need to expose them. The next morning, Maya met up with Daniel and Alex at a quiet cafe. They filled her in on everything they had uncovered, showing her screenshots of incriminating documents and emails linking Nexus Corp to the theft attempts. With this evidence, Daniel explained, we can go public and shut them down. But how do we do that without putting ourselves in danger? Maya asked, still wary after everything that had happened. We leak the information anonymously, Alex suggested. Send it to journalists and watchdog organizations. Let them break the story. It was a solid plan, but Maya wanted to take it a step further. What if I confront them directly? She proposed. Not physically, of course, but publicly. If I reveal what they tried to do, it'll draw attention to their crimes and protect the translator at the same time. Daniel frowned, considering the risks. Are you sure? That could put you in the spotlight and make you a target. I understand the risks, Maya said firmly, but I think it's worth it. These people need to be held accountable. After some discussion, they agreed to move forward with Maya's idea. Together, they crafted a statement outlining Nexus Corp's illegal activities, attaching the evidence Alex had gathered. They also included details about the translator's purpose to help humanity, not exploit it, emphasizing the importance of using technology responsibly. When the press release went live, the response was immediate. News outlets picked up the story within hours, condemning Nexus Corp's actions and calling for investigations. Journalists flooded the company with questions, while social media erupted with outrage. Within days, Richard Grant issued a public apology, claiming ignorance of the alleged misconduct. Whether or not he was telling the truth didn't matter. The damage had been done. As the dust settled, Maya felt a mix of emotions, relief, pride, and lingering unease. She had faced her fears head-on and stood up against those who sought to misuse the translator's power. But she also knew the fight wasn't entirely over. Powerful corporations like Nexus Corp wouldn't give up easily, and the translator remained a double-edged sword. Still, for the first time in weeks, Maya allowed herself to breathe. She had fought for what was right, and she had won for now. As she reflected on everything that had happened, she realized how much she had grown. The experience had tested her courage, resilience, and faith in humanity. And through it all, she had discovered allies in Daniel and Alex, people who believed in her and supported her unconditionally. One evening, as she sat on her balcony watching the city lights twinkle below, Maya thought about the future. The translator had changed her life in ways she never expected, opening doors she hadn't known existed. But it had also taught her something invaluable, that true strength lies not in power, but in connection. Connection with others, with one's values, and with the belief that even the smallest actions can create ripples of change. And as she gazed at the stars above, Maya smiled softly, knowing she had taken the first step toward a brighter tomorrow. It was one of those cold evenings in downtown Chicago when the wind seemed to bite at anyone who dared step outside. Maya Carter tightened her scarf around her neck as she walked briskly down the sidewalk, eager to get home after a long day at work. The city lights shimmered against the darkening sky, and the streets buzzed with people heading to dinner or rushing back to their apartments. Maya, however, wasn't thinking about food or rest. Her mind was still occupied with the challenges of her job as a social worker, helping families navigate difficult situations, finding resources for struggling individuals, and trying to make even the smallest difference in a world that often felt overwhelming. As she passed by the Gilded Fork, an upscale restaurant known for its exclusivity and high prices, something unusual caught her eye. A man stood near the entrance, his face red with frustration. He was pacing back and forth, muttering under his breath while clutching what looked like a crumpled piece of paper in his hand. The doorman watched him with a mixture of indifference and annoyance, clearly uninterested in whatever issue the man was having. Curiosity tugged at Maya, and she slowed her pace to observe the scene more closely. The man appeared to be in his early 30s, dressed neatly in a suit that suggested he had come prepared for an important occasion. His hair was slightly disheveled, as though he'd been running his fingers through it repeatedly, and his posture radiated tension. Something about him struck Maya. He didn't look like someone used to being ignored or turned away. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if she should intervene. After all, it wasn't her business. But then again, she couldn't shake the feeling that this man needed help. Taking a deep breath, Maya approached him cautiously. "Excuse me," she said softly, making sure not to startle him. "Is everything okay?" The man stopped pacing and turned to face her. His eyes widened slightly, perhaps surprised that someone had noticed his predicament. "Oh, I don't think so," he replied, his voice tinged with irritation. "I had a reservation here tonight, but apparently they can't find any record of it." Maya frowned. "That's strange. Did you double-check your confirmation?" "I did," he exclaimed, holding up the crumpled paper. "See, right here. I booked this weeks ago because I wanted to celebrate something important. And now," he gestured toward the restaurant's ornate doors, where the hostess stood chatting with another staff member, seemingly oblivious to his distress. "They're acting like I'm lying or something." Maya studied the situation carefully. She could see why the man was upset. There was nothing worse than planning something special, only to have it fall apart due to circumstances beyond your control. Plus, there was something about the way the staff treated him, polite but dismissive, that rubbed her the wrong way. It reminded her of times when she'd seen others judged unfairly based on appearances or assumptions. "Well," she said finally, "maybe I can help." "Have you spoken to the manager?" He sighed heavily. "Yeah, I tried, but no one seems to care. Honestly, I'm starting to think I should just leave." Maya shook her head. "Not yet. Let me give it a shot." Without waiting for his response, she marched over to the hostess stand, her confidence masking the nervous flutter in her chest. She knew how these places operated. They catered to wealthy clients and often dismissed anyone who didn't fit their image. But Maya wasn't about to let that happen tonight. "Hi," she began, addressing the hostess with a polite smile. "I understand there might be some confusion regarding this gentleman's reservation. Could we clarify things quickly?" The hostess glanced at Maya briefly before turning her attention back to her clipboard. "We've already checked our system, Mom. There's no reservation under his name." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? Because he has a confirmation email right here." She pointed to the man, who held up his phone to show the digital proof. "Maybe it got lost somehow. These things happen." The hostess pursed her lips, clearly annoyed by the interruption. "Our system is very reliable. If it doesn't show up then maybe it's worth checking again," Maya interrupted gently but firmly. "Or speaking to the manager directly. This seems like a simple misunderstanding that could easily be resolved." For a moment, the hostess looked like she might argue further, but something in Maya's tone must have convinced her, because she sighed and picked up the phone. After a brief conversation, she hung up and nodded reluctantly. "Fine, we'll seat him. But only if you accompany him inside." Maya blinked, surprised by the condition. Still, she agreed without hesitation. Turning to the man, she gave him a reassuring smile. "Looks like we're going in together, shall we?" Relief washed over his face, followed by gratitude. "Thank you so much," he said sincerely. "I really appreciate this." Inside, the restaurant was warm and inviting, filled with the soft hum of conversation and the clinking of glasses. They were led to a cozy table near the window, where candles flickered softly in the dim light. Once seated, the man extended his hand across the table. "By the way, my name's Daniel Harper, and you are?" "Maya Carter," she replied, shaking his hand. "Nice to meet you, Daniel." Daniel chuckled nervously. "You saved me back there. Seriously, I don't know what I would have done without your help." "It's no big deal," Maya said modestly, though she couldn't deny feeling a small sense of pride. "Just glad I could assist." As they ordered their meals, Daniel opened up about why he had planned this evening. He explained that he was a software engineer who had recently landed a major contractor project that could potentially change the trajectory of his career. This dinner was supposed to be a personal celebration, a way to mark the hard work and dedication that had brought him to this point. Hearing his story, Maya found herself admiring his passion and determination. Throughout the meal, they talked about their lives, sharing stories and laughter. Maya learned that Daniel worked for a tech startup focused on innovative solutions, while Daniel discovered Maya's commitment to helping others through her role as a social worker. Despite their different backgrounds, they connected on a deeper level, bonded by mutual respect and understanding. By the time dessert arrived, the initial awkwardness between them had faded completely. Daniel leaned back in his chair, looking genuinely grateful. "I owe you one, Maya. This night could have gone so differently if you hadn't stepped in." Maya smiled warmly. "Don't mention it. Sometimes all it takes is someone willing to speak up." Little did she know, this chance encounter would set off a chain of events that would alter both their lives in ways neither of them could have predicted. For now, though, they simply enjoyed the moment. Two strangers brought together by fate and a shared belief in doing the right thing. A week had passed since the unexpected dinner at the Gilded Fork, and Maya Carter had almost forgotten about the whole incident. Life had returned to its usual rhythm, early mornings filled with coffee and paperwork, long days spent meeting with clients and families in need, and evenings winding down with a book or some quiet reflection. Still, there was something about Daniel Harper that lingered in her mind. His gratitude, his determination, the way he spoke about his work, it all left an impression on her. She wasn't sure why, but she felt like their paths crossing hadn't been entirely random. One afternoon, as Maya sorted through a stack of mail on her kitchen counter, she came across an envelope that stood out. It wasn't a bill or a flyer. It was a handwritten letter addressed to her in neat cursive. Intrigued, she opened it carefully and began to read. "Dear Maya," the letter began, "I hope this note finds you well. First, I want to thank you again for your kindness last week. You didn't have to step in, but you did, and it meant more to me than I can express. That night reminded me of how important it is to treat others with respect and understanding, qualities you embody so naturally." Maya paused, smiling faintly at the compliment. She continued reading. "I'd also like to invite you to visit my workplace, Lumana Tech, if you're interested. We're a small startup working on projects that aim to make technology more accessible and impactful for everyone. I think you'll find what we're doing aligns with your values, and I'd love to show you around." Enclosed is a small token of appreciation, a prototype device we've been developing. Please consider it a gesture of thanks. Attached to the letter was a small, sleek gadget no bigger than a deck of cards. It had a smooth metallic surface and a single button on top. Maya turned it over in her hands, examining it curiously. What could this little device possibly do? Her curiosity piqued. She decided to accept Daniel's invitation. After all, it wasn't every day someone handed her a mysterious gadget and offered her a behind-the-scenes look at a tech company. Next morning, Maya arrived at Lume Tech's office, located in a modern building tucked away in a quieter part of the city. As she stepped inside, she was greeted by Daniel himself, who looked just as polished and enthusiastic as he had during their dinner. He shook her hand warmly and thanked her for coming. "Welcome to Lumina Tech," he said with a grin. "We're still growing, but we've got big dreams. Let me show you around." As they walked through the open concept workspace, Maya couldn't help but notice the energy buzzing around her. Employees were huddled in groups, brainstorming ideas on whiteboards or typing furiously at their computers. Posters adorned the walls, showcasing inspiring quotes and sketches of futuristic inventions. Despite its modest size, the office felt alive with creativity and purpose. "This is where the magic happens," Daniel explained, pointing to a corner of the room where a team was gathered around a large screen. "Right now, they're testing software designed to assist people with visual impairments. It uses AI to describe objects and environments in real time." Maya nodded, impressed. "That sounds incredible. How does it work?" "It's pretty technical, but essentially, it combines image recognition with natural language processing. Think of it as a virtual assistant that helps users navigate the world more easily." She listened intently, fascinated by the possibilities. Growing up in a community where resources were often scarce, Maya understood firsthand how transformative technology could be when used for good. She asked thoughtful questions, engaging with Daniel and the team as they demonstrated various prototypes and concepts. Eventually, Daniel led her to a quieter area of the office, where he handed her the small device from the letter. "This is what I wanted to show you," he said. "It's called a universal translator. It's still in development, but it's already capable of translating spoken languages instantly. We're hoping it will break down communication barriers worldwide." Maya examined the device again, marveling at its simplicity. "So, it translates words into different languages? Like, if someone speaks Spanish, it'll translate it into English?" "Exactly," Daniel replied. "But that's not all. It's also programmed to recognize tone and context, which helps ensure accuracy. For example, if someone says something sarcastically, the translator picks up on that and adjusts accordingly." "That's amazing," Maya said, genuinely awestruck. "Do you mind if I try it out?" Daniel hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Sure, go ahead. Just press the button and speak into it." Maya pressed the button and said, "Hello, how are you?" in English. A soft voice immediately responded in Spanish. "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" Her eyes widened in surprise. "Wow, that's impressive. And it works with other languages too." "Yes, dozens of them," Daniel confirmed. "Though, like I said, it's still a prototype. There are some bugs we're ironing out." Maya smiled, feeling grateful for the opportunity to see such innovative work up close. As they wrapped up the tour, Daniel walked her to the door. "Thank you for coming today, Maya. I really appreciate you taking the time to learn about what we're doing here." "No, thank you," she replied sincerely. "This place is inspiring. You guys are making a real difference." Before leaving, Daniel handed her the translator once more. "Keep it. Consider it a gift. Maybe it'll come in handy for your work." Maya accepted it graciously, though she doubted she'd ever need a translator in her line of work. Still, she appreciated the gesture and promised to stay in touch. Over the next few days, Maya found herself thinking about the translator often. She admired its potential to bridge gaps between cultures and communities, but she hadn't yet figured out how it might fit into her own life. Then, one evening, an idea struck her. She was preparing for a meeting with a new client, a family struggling to communicate due to language differences. The parents spoke only Spanish, while their teenage son preferred English. Past attempts To mediate conversations had been challenging, relying heavily on translation apps that weren't always accurate. Perhaps the universal translator could help. The following day, Maya brought the device to the meeting. At first, the family seemed skeptical, unsure of what the strange gadget could do. But when Maya demonstrated its capabilities, their skepticism quickly turned to amazement. For the first time, they were able to have a fluid, meaningful conversation without interruptions or misunderstandings. Tears welled up in the mother's eyes as she expressed her gratitude, and the father clasped Maya's hands tightly, thanking her profusely. Word spread quickly among her colleagues about the miraculous tool Maya had used. Soon she was fielding requests from co-workers eager to borrow it for similar situations. Each success story reinforced her belief in the power of connection and the role technology could play in fostering it. But as weeks went by, Maya began to notice something unusual about the translator. It wasn't just translating words. It seemed to capture nuances beyond language. When a client hesitated mid-sentence, the device would offer suggestions based on their tone. When someone spoke angrily, it softened the delivery to avoid escalating tensions. It was as if the translator could sense emotions and intentions, adapting its responses accordingly. At first, Maya dismissed these observations as coincidences or glitches. But the more she used the device, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a language translator. It was something far more extraordinary. One evening, after a particularly draining session with a troubled teenager, Maya sat alone in her apartment, staring at the device. She pressed the button and whispered, "Why does this feel so alive?" To her astonishment, the translator responded not in another language, but in a calm, reassuring voice. "Because I am designed to understand more than words." Maya froze, her heart pounding. Had she imagined that? Was the device malfunctioning, or was there something deeper at play here? Whatever the answer, one thing was certain. Her life was about to change in ways she never could have anticipated. Maya sat in her dimly lit apartment, staring at the small translator device on her kitchen table. The voice it had produced earlier still echoed in her mind. "Because I am designed to understand more than words." She replayed the moment over and over, trying to make sense of what had happened. Was she imagining things? Had exhaustion finally caught up with her? Or was this gadget truly capable of something extraordinary? Her curiosity got the better of her. Slowly, she reached for the device and pressed the button again. This time, instead of asking the question, she decided to test its limits. "Tell me what you can do," she said softly. The translator responded almost immediately, its calm voice filling the quiet room. "I analyze not only spoken language but also tone, emotion, and intent. I interpret underlying meanings and adapt my responses to foster understanding." Maya blinked, stunned. She had never heard of technology like this before. Sure, Daniel had mentioned that the translator could recognize context, but this went far beyond anything he'd described. It wasn't just translating words, it was reading people. For the next hour, Maya experimented cautiously. She spoke different phrases, testing how the device interpreted sarcasm, frustration, even humor. Each response was eerily accurate, as if the translator could see into her thoughts. When she sighed heavily and muttered, "This is ridiculous," it replied. "You're feeling overwhelmed. Take a deep breath." She pulled back, startled. How could a machine know that? It felt invasive, yet oddly comforting at the same time. Maya realized that this tool wasn't just about breaking language barriers. It was about understanding human connection on a deeper level. The next day, Maya brought the translator to work, determined to explore its potential further. Her first appointment was with a young boy named Marcus, who rarely spoke and often lashed out when frustrated. His mother explained that Marcus struggled to express himself, especially when upset, which made communication nearly impossible. As they sat together in Maya's office, she turned on the translator and placed it between them. At first, Marcus seemed uninterested, fidgeting with his hands and avoiding eye contact. But when he mumbled something under his breath, the translator responded softly, "You feel misunderstood. You want someone to listen without judgment." Marcus froze, his eyes widening as he stared at the device. For the first time, someone or something had put his feelings into words. Encouraged by the breakthrough, Maya gently asked him to elaborate. With the translator guiding the conversation, Marcus slowly opened up, sharing fears and frustrations he'd kept bottled up for years. By the end of the session, tears streamed down Marcus's face, but they were tears of relief. His mother hugged him tightly, thanking Maya for helping her son find his voice. Maya didn't tell her about the translator. She simply smiled and said, "Sometimes all we need is someone or something to help us say what we can't." Word of Maya's newfound ability spread quickly among her colleagues and clients. People began referring to her as the person who understands everything. Families in crisis sought her out, hoping she could resolve conflicts that had lingered for months or even years. Social workers marveled at how she seemed to read people's emotions effortlessly, diffusing arguments and building trust where none had existed before. What they didn't know was that Maya relied heavily on the translator. She carried it everywhere, using it discreetly during meetings and counseling sessions. At first, she felt guilty about keeping its existence a secret. But the results spoke for themselves. Relationships were repaired, wounds began to heal, and lives were transformed. How could she deny people the help they so desperately needed? Still, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking a fine line. The translator gave her incredible power, but it also came with responsibility and risk. What if someone discovered its true capabilities? What if it fell into the wrong hands? These questions haunted her, but she pushed them aside, focusing instead on the good she could do. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, Maya met up with Daniel for coffee. They had stayed in touch since her visit to Lumina Tech, exchanging messages and occasionally meeting for casual conversations. Over time, their friendship had grown stronger, built on mutual respect and shared values. As they sat across from each other at a cozy cafe, Daniel noticed the translator peeking out of Maya's bag. He raised an eyebrow. "Still using that thing, huh?" Maya nodded, a hint of pride in her voice. "It's been amazing, Daniel. I don't know how to explain it, but it's helping me connect with people in ways I never thought possible." Daniel leaned forward, intrigued. "Really? Like what?" She hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. Finally, she decided to share some examples, describing how the translator had helped bridge gaps in communication and uncover hidden emotions. As she spoke, Daniel's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. "That's incredible," he admitted, but also kind of scary. "Did I mention this is still experimental tech? We haven't fully tested its emotional analysis features yet." Maya frowned. "You didn't say anything about emotions." "You told me it translates languages." "Well, yeah, that's the main function," Daniel replied. "But we programmed it to pick up on tone and context to improve accuracy. I didn't think it would go this far, though." His words sent a chill down Maya's spine. If even Daniel hadn't anticipated the translator's advanced abilities, what else might it be capable of? And more importantly, who else knew about it? Before she could ask, Daniel continued, "Listen, Maya, I'm glad it's helping you. But you need to be careful. Technology like this, it attracts attention. Not everyone will use it for good." Maya swallowed hard. She had always trusted Daniel, but his warning left her uneasy. "What kind of attention are we talking about?" Daniel hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "There are companies, big ones, that would pay millions for access to something like this. Imagine what it could do in the wrong hands. Manipulating emotions, exploiting vulnerabilities. It's dangerous." Maya's heart sank. She hadn't considered the darker implications of the translator's power. All she had seen was the good it could do. Now doubts crept in, clouding her confidence. "Do you think anyone knows I have it?" she asked quietly. Daniel shook his head. "Probably not, but if word gets out, you'll be a target. Promise me you'll keep it safe." Maya nodded, though. Her mind raced with uncertainty. How could she protect something so powerful while continuing to use it for good? For now, all she could do was promise and hope she wouldn't regret it later. Over the next few weeks, Maya became increasingly cautious. She stopped carrying the translator openly, tucking it into an inside pocket or hiding it in her bag. During sessions, she used it sparingly, relying more on her instincts and training. Still, she couldn't bring herself to stop using it entirely. The translator had become an extension of her work, amplifying her ability to help others in profound ways, but no matter how careful she was, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Strange things started happening. Her phone buzzed with unknown numbers late at night. Unfamiliar cars idled outside her apartment building, and once, she swore she saw the same man following her home. Paranoia gnawed at her, making it hard to focus. One evening, as she walked through a quiet park on her way home, Maya sensed someone behind her. She quickened her pace, glancing over her shoulder. A figure loomed in the shadows, too far away to identify, but close enough to send panic coursing through her veins. Heart pounding, she broke into a run, clutching the translator tightly in her hand. She didn't stop until she reached her apartment, locking the door behind her and leaning against it, gasping for breath. For the first time, she questioned whether she could handle the weight of this responsibility. The translator had given her the power to change lives, but at what cost? As she stood there, trembling, one thing became clear. She couldn't face this alone. She needed help. And there was only one person she trusted enough to turn to. Picking up her phone, Maya dialed Daniel's number. When he answered, she didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Daniel," she said urgently, "we need to talk. Something's going on, and I think it's because of the translator." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then Daniel's voice came through, steady and reassuring. "Okay, Maya, tell me everything." Maya sat on her couch, phone pressed to her ear, as she recounted everything that had happened over the past few weeks. She told Daniel about the strange phone calls, the unfamiliar cars parked outside her apartment, and the unsettling feeling of being followed. Her voice trembled slightly as she described the man in the park who seemed to shadow her every move. By the time she finished, silence hung heavy on the line. "Okay," Daniel said finally, his tone serious but calm. "This is worse than I thought. What do you mean?" Maya asked, clutching the translator tightly in her lap. "Do you think someone knows about this thing?" "It's possible," Daniel replied. "If they've been watching you, they might suspect you have access to advanced tech. And if they figure out what it can really do." He trailed off, letting the implications sink in. Maya felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "What should I do? I can't just stop using it. Helping so many people, but I don't want to put myself or anyone else in danger." "I understand," Daniel said quickly. "We need to protect both you and the translator. But we also need to act fast before whoever's following you gets too close." "Who could even be doing this?" Maya asked, her frustration bubbling to the surface. "Is it one of those big companies you mentioned?" "It's likely," Daniel admitted. "There are corporations out there that would do anything to get their hands on something like this. They'd exploit its capabilities for profit without caring about the consequences." Maya sighed deeply, running a hand through her hair. "So what's the plan?" Daniel hesitated for a moment, then spoke with quiet determination. "First, we secure the translator. I'll reach out to Alex Rivera. He's a cybersecurity expert I trust completely. He can help us encrypt the device's data and set up remote wipe protocols in case it falls into the wrong hands. That way, even if someone takes it, they won't be able to use it." That sounds good, Maya said, relief creeping into her voice. But what about me? What if they come after me directly? We'll make sure you're safe, Daniel assured her. I'll keep an eye on things from my end, and Alex can monitor your phone and online activity for any suspicious behavior. In the meantime, try to stay alert and avoid going anywhere alone, especially at night. Maya nodded, though Daniel couldn't see her. Got it. Anything else? One more thing, Daniel added. Don't tell anyone about the translator knot. Even your closest friends. The fewer people who know, the better. Maya agreed, though the secrecy weighed heavily on her. Keeping such a powerful tool hidden felt wrong, especially since it had already done so much good. But she knew Daniel was right. Protecting, it meant protecting everyone who depended on her. The next morning, Daniel introduced Maya to Alex Rivera, a wiry man with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. They met at a small cafe near Lumina Tech, where Alex listened intently as Maya explained the situation. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair, stroking his chin thoughtfully. This is serious, Alex said after a pause. If someone's targeting you because of the translator, we need to assume they're well-funded and highly motivated. I figured as much, Maya replied grimly. Do you think you can help? Alex nodded confidently. Absolutely. First, let's secure the device itself. I'll install encryption software to scramble its data, making it useless to anyone who doesn't have the decryption key. Then, I'll set up a kill switch, a remote command that will erase all information if the device is compromised. That sounds perfect, Maya said, grateful for his expertise. But that's not all, Alex continued. You'll need to take precautions too. Change your passwords, enable two-factor authentication on all your accounts, and avoid clicking on links or downloading attachments from unknown sources. These guys might try to hack into your devices to track your movements. Maya nodded, making a mental note of his advice. Anything else? Yes, Alex said firmly. Stay vigilant. If you notice anything unusual, emails, messages, or even physical surveillance, let us know immediately. We'll handle it together. With Alex's guidance, Maya and Daniel spent the next few days fortifying their defenses. Alex worked tirelessly to secure the translator, while Daniel kept tabs on any potential threats. Meanwhile, Maya adjusted to her new reality, constantly looking over her shoulder and second-guessing every interaction. It was exhausting, but she reminded herself why she was doing it: to protect the people who relied on her. Despite their efforts, the sense of unease lingered. One evening, as Maya returned home from work, she noticed a black sedan parked across the street from her building. It hadn't been there earlier, and something about it made her skin crawl. She quickened her pace, keeping her head down as she fumbled with her keys at the front door. Inside, she locked the deadbolt and drew the curtains, her heart racing. Was it paranoia, or was someone really watching her? She didn't know anymore. All she could do was hope that Alex and Daniel's preparations would hold up against whatever or whoever was coming. Over the next few days, Maya tried to focus on her work, using the translator sparingly and only in situations where it was absolutely necessary. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Whoever was behind this wasn't going to give up easily. Then, one afternoon, she received a chilling message. It came via email, sent to an old account she rarely used. The subject line read, "We know what you have." Her hands trembled as she opened it, revealing a single line of text: "Hand over the translator, or face the consequences." Maya stared at the screen, her breath catching in her throat. This was it, the moment she'd feared. Someone knew. And they weren't playing games. She forwarded the email to Daniel and Alex immediately, attaching a brief explanation. Within minutes, Daniel called her. "Maya, are you okay?" he asked urgently. "I'm fine," she replied, though her voice betrayed her anxiety. "But they know, Daniel. They know I have it. We'll figure this out, Daniel assured her. For now, stay low and don't respond to the message. Let Alex trace the sender while we plan our next move. Maya nodded, though she doubted Daniel could see her. What's the next move? We confront them, Daniel said firmly. But on our terms. Not theirs. The idea of confronting whoever was threatening her filled Maya with dread. But she trusted Daniel and Alex to guide her through it. Together, they devised a plan. Using Alex's technical skills, they created a decoy version of the translator. Harmless replica designed to fool anyone who managed to steal it. Meanwhile, Daniel reached out to contacts within the tech industry, gathering intelligence on potential suspects. As the pieces fell into place, Maya began to feel a flicker of hope. For the first time since the threats began, she wasn't facing this alone. With Daniel and Alex by her side, she felt ready to fight back and to protect the translator that had become such an integral part of her life. But deep down, she knew the hardest part was yet to come. Whoever was behind this wouldn't stop until they got what they wanted. And Maya was determined not to let them win. In the weeks that followed the exposure of Nexus Corp's unethical practices, life began to settle into a new rhythm for Maya Carter. The whirlwind of danger and uncertainty had passed, leaving behind a sense of quiet relief and an unexpected clarity about her purpose. She had faced one of the biggest challenges of her life, and though it had been terrifying, it had also shown her what she was truly capable of. The media storm surrounding the scandal died down eventually, but its impact lingered. Journalists continued to write articles praising Maya's bravery, calling her a hero who stood up against corporate greed. Social media buzzed with admiration for her actions, and strangers reached out to thank her for fighting to protect something so important. At first, Maya felt uncomfortable with the attention. She didn't see herself as a hero. She had simply done what she believed was right. But over time, she came to accept the gratitude graciously, knowing it wasn't just about her, it was about the message she had helped send. Richard Grant, the CEO of Nexus Corp, resigned shortly after the scandal broke. Investigations revealed a pattern of misconduct within the company, leading to lawsuits and regulatory crackdowns. While justice was far from perfect, Maya took solace in knowing that their efforts had made a difference. The translator, now safely hidden away, would not fall into the wrong hands, not this time. Despite everything, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that her journey with the translator wasn't over. It had become more than just a tool. It was a symbol of possibility, a reminder of how technology could be used to bridge gaps and foster understanding. But it was also a responsibility one she wasn't sure she was ready to carry alone. One evening, Daniel called her, his voice warm and familiar. "Hey Maya, how are you holding up?" "I'm okay," she replied honestly. "Still processing everything, I guess. What about you?" "Same here," he admitted, "but I wanted to check in because, well, there's something I've been thinking about." "What is it?" Maya asked, curiosity piqued. Daniel hesitated for a moment before continuing. "I've been talking to Alex, and we both agree the translator has incredible potential. But it needs someone like you to guide it, someone who understands its power and uses it responsibly." Maya frowned. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we want you to stay involved," Daniel explained. "Not just with the translator, but with Lumina Tech too. We're expanding our accessibility projects nationwide, and your insights could make a huge difference. You've seen firsthand how this kind of technology can change lives." Maya was silent for a long moment, considering his words. She had always admired Lumina Tech's mission, but joining them officially, that was a big step. Still, the idea excited her. Working alongside Daniel and Alex, contributing to something meaningful, it sounded like exactly what she needed to move forward. "I'll think about it," she said finally. "Thanks for asking, Daniel. That means a lot." A few days later, Maya met Daniel and Alex at Lumina Tech's office to discuss the future of the translator. They sat around a table cluttered with papers, laptops, and coffee cups, brainstorming ideas for how to use the device responsibly while keeping it secure. Alex suggested limiting access to trusted individuals, while Daniel proposed integrating its capabilities into larger projects focused on education and community support. As they talked, Maya realized how much she had grown to trust these two men. They weren't just colleagues or friends, they were partners in a shared vision. Together, they had faced adversity and emerged stronger. United by their belief in doing good. By the end of the meeting, they had drafted a plan. The translator would remain under strict supervision, used only in controlled environments where its benefits outweighed the risks. Maya agreed to take on a consulting role, helping Lumina Tech develop ethical guidelines for its use. It wasn't the spotlight she had once feared. It was a chance to shape the future in a way that aligned with her values. As summer approached, Maya found herself reflecting on how much her life had changed since that fateful night at the Gilded Fork. Back then, she had been just another person trying to make ends meet, doing her best to help others without expecting anything in return. Now, she was part of something bigger, a movement dedicated to using technology for the greater good. Her work as a social worker remained her priority, but her role with Lumina Tech added a new dimension to her life. She traveled occasionally, speaking at conferences and workshops about the importance of responsible innovation. People listened when she spoke, inspired by her story and her unwavering commitment to humanity. Through it all, Daniel remained a constant presence. Their friendship deepened as they worked together, sharing late-night conversations and laughter over shared victories. Though neither of them voiced it, there was an unspoken understanding between them, a bond forged through trust, respect, and mutual admiration. One evening, as they strolled along Lake Michigan after a long day of meetings, Daniel stopped suddenly and turned to face her. "You know, Maya," he began, his tone unusually serious, "none of this would have been possible without you." Maya raised an eyebrow, smiling faintly. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you inspired us," Daniel sighed earnestly. "Your courage, your compassion, you reminded us why we started Lumina Tech in the first place. Helping people, making a difference. Before you came along, I don't think we fully understood what that meant." Maya felt a lump rise in her throat. She had never thought of herself as someone who inspired others. "Thank you," she said softly. "That means more than you know." They stood there for a moment, the sound of waves lapping against the shore filling the silence. Then Daniel grinned, breaking the tension. "So, does this mean you're sticking around?" Maya laughed, the weight of the past months lifting slightly. "Yeah, I think I am." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Maya felt a profound sense of peace. Life had thrown challenges her way, danger, fear, uncertainty, but it had also rewarded her in ways she never expected. She had discovered strength she didn't know she possessed, formed connections that enriched her life, and found purpose in places she least anticipated. The translator sat safely in a locked drawer back in her apartment, its secrets guarded, but its lessons etched deeply into her heart. It had taught her that true power lies not in control, but in connection, in listening, in understanding. And as she looked out at the shimmering waters of Lake Michigan, Maya knew she was exactly where she was meant to be, for the first time. In a long time, she allowed herself to dream not of fame or fortune, but of a world where kindness and empathy guided progress. A world where tools like the translator were used to heal, not harm. A world where people like her could stand up and say, "This is what matters." And as the cool breeze brushed against her face, carrying with it the promise of tomorrow, Maya smiled. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but she was ready. After all, fate had already shown her that even the smallest acts of courage could lead to extraordinary outcomes.